You've written blog posts. You've added keywords. You've watched tutorials about SEO. Maybe you even installed plugins that give you green check marks. And still, when you search your topic on Google, your page is nowhere to be found. That creates doubt. You start wondering whether SEO still works, or whether your website is too small, or whether only big companies can rank now. And the more you search for answers, the more complicated the advice becomes. Let me simplify this immediately. Most beginners do not fail at SEO because they lack effort. They fail because they misunderstand how search engines evaluate content. They think SEO is about adding keywords, or adjusting meta descriptions, or publishing more articles. But SEO is not about activity. It is about alignment. Alignment between what people are searching for, what your page communicates, and how clearly that communication is structured. If that alignment is weak, your content becomes invisible, even if it is helpful. So in this video, we are not going to talk about tricks. We are going to build a beginner-friendly mental model of how SEO actually works. Whether you run a blog, a small business website, or create content online. And by the end, you will know exactly what to fix first. One reason beginners struggle with SEO is not because SEO is impossible. It's because the advice feels scattered. One expert says backlinks are everything. Another says content length matters most. Someone else insists technical SEO is the key. And tools keep scoring your page and telling you to add more keywords. So you start doing everything a little bit. A few keywords here, a longer paragraph there, maybe you install a plugin and follow its checklist. But nothing feels connected. Let me ask you something simple. If you were building a house, would you start by choosing curtains, or would you start with the foundation? Most beginner SEO strategies look like choosing curtains before pouring concrete. That is the real problem. There is no sequence. SEO only becomes simple when you understand the order of importance. First comes search demand, then relevance, then structure. Only after that does authority start to matter. But when you reverse that order, you end up chasing tactics instead of building visibility. And chasing tactics always feels exhausting. So before we talk about tools or keywords, we need to understand how search engines actually decide which page deserves to rank. Let's simplify SEO in one clear sentence. SEO is the process of making your content easy for search engines to understand and valuable for users to trust. That's it. Search engines do not rank pages randomly. They rank pages they believe are the best answer to a specific question. And to decide that, they evaluate three things: relevance, clarity, and authority. Relevance means your page matches what someone is searching for. Clarity means your page is structured in a way that is easy to interpret. Authority means other signals, like links or user behavior, support your credibility. Most beginners focus on authority first. They think they need backlinks immediately. But if relevance and clarity are weak, authority cannot save the page. So SEO is not about tricking Google. It is about communicating clearly. Let me make this even more practical. Imagine someone searches best CRM for small business. Google now has millions of pages it could show. So how does it decide which one deserves the top spot? It looks for pages that clearly answer the searcher's intent. Does the page compare tools? Does it explain features? Does it help the reader make a decision? Or is it just mentioning CRM casually inside a generic article? That is relevance. Now imagine two pages both discussing CRM tools. One has clear headings, structured comparisons, and direct answers. The other has long paragraphs with no structure. Which one is easier for both users and search engines to understand? That is clarity. Authority comes later. If other sites link to your article, that strengthens trust. But without relevance and clarity, authority alone will not carry you. So SEO is not about pleasing algorithms. It is about being the clearest answer available. To understand SEO, you also need to understand what search engines actually do. At a basic level, search engines crawl the internet, index pages, and rank them based on what they believe is most useful. Crawling means discovering pages. Indexing means storing and organizing them, Ranking means deciding the order in which they appear for a search query. That's the technical side, simplified. But here's what matters for you. If Google cannot clearly understand your page, it cannot confidently rank it. And if it cannot find your page easily, it may not even consider it. So SEO is about making discovery, understanding, and evaluation easier. At the most basic level, search engines do three things. They crawl the internet to discover pages. They index those pages to organize information. And then they rank them when someone searches for something. Crawling is discovery, indexing is understanding, ranking is evaluation. If your page is hard to discover, unclear to understand, or weak in evaluation, it struggles to appear. So SEO is not magic. It is simply helping search engines move through those three steps more confidently. Now let's talk about keywords, because this is where most beginners start. They believe SEO is about finding the right keyword and placing it everywhere. But keywords are not magic triggers. A keyword is simply a representation of what someone is searching for. It is a signal of demand. But if your content does not truly answer the intent behind that keyword, ranking becomes difficult. Using a keyword repeatedly does not create relevance. Solving the searcher's problem does. Let me give you a real example. Imagine someone searches how to start a bakery business. If your page repeats that phrase 10 times but only gives general motivation about entrepreneurship, Google will understand that the keyword appears. But the intent is not satisfied. Now imagine another page that explains licensing requirements, startup costs, equipment lists, and local regulations. That page is aligned with intent. The keyword is the doorway. Intent is the room inside. Many beginners focus on decorating the doorway. They forget to build the room. This is why simply stuffing keywords into headings does not work anymore. Search engines are evaluating depth, structure, and relevance, not repetition. So instead of asking, "Did I use the keyword enough?" ask, "Did I fully answer the searcher's need?" That question changes everything. Let's slow this down with one more example. Imagine someone searches "best budget laptop for students." If your article repeats that phrase but never compares actual models, pricing ranges, pros and cons, or real recommendations, it feels shallow. Search engines are now sophisticated enough to detect depth. They evaluate related terms, context, comparisons, and how thoroughly a topic is covered. So instead of asking, "Did I use the keyword enough?" you should ask, "If I were the searcher, would this page truly solve my problem?" That mindset shifts SEO from technical manipulation to structured usefulness. And structured usefulness is what search engines reward over time. Let's take two real beginner mistakes. First, someone writes an article about digital marketing tools and simply lists 5 tools with short descriptions. The keyword is there, the topic is correct, but there is no comparison, no use case, no clear recommendation. The article exists, but it does not guide. Now imagine another article targeting the same keyword, but it breaks tools into categories like budget tools, beginner tools, automation tools, and enterprise tools. It explains who each one is best for and why. Suddenly, the same keyword becomes layered with intent. Both pages mention the same phrase. Only one truly satisfies search demand. That is why SEO today is less about inserting words and more about covering meaning. If your page only touches the surface, it becomes one more option in a sea of similar content. If your page creates clarity, it stands out. So keywords are the starting signal, but depth is the ranking factor. Now we arrive at the concept that changes everything for beginners: search intent. Search intent is the reason behind a search query, not just the words typed, but the goal behind those words. For example, when someone searches how to bake a chocolate cake, they want instructions. When someone searches best chocolate cake near me, they want to buy. When someone searches chocolate cake calories, they want information. The words may look similar. The intent is completely different. If your page does not match that intent, it will struggle to rank, even if the keyword is correct. So SEO is not about targeting phrases. It is about matching purpose. Let's make this practical. Imagine you write a detailed 2,000-word article about how to start a podcast. But when someone searches that phrase, most top-ranking pages are step-by-step beginner guides with simple checklists and tools. Now imagine your article focuses mostly on advanced podcast monetization strategies. Even though it contains the right keyword, it does not match the beginner intent. Google compares behavior. If users click your page and quickly return to search results, that signals mismatch. Now take another example. Someone searches best running shoes for flat feet. If your page talks generally about running shoes without addressing flat feet specifically, you miss the intent. Search engines analyze patterns. They look at what type of content satisfies users for that query. Guides, comparisons, product pages, videos, or tutorials. So before writing content, you should always search your keyword and ask, what kind of pages are already ranking? What format? What depth? What angle? That is intent research. And beginners who skip this step waste months creating content that never aligns. Even if your keyword and intent are correct, your page can still struggle if it is poorly structured. Search engines do not read like humans, they scan patterns. Headings, subheadings, paragraph hierarchy, bullet points, and clarity signals help them understand your page faster. If your content is one long block of text with no clear sections, it becomes harder to interpret. And when interpretation becomes harder, ranking confidence decreases. Structure is not decoration, it is communication. Let's compare two articles about the same topic. Both are 500 words long. Both target the same keyword. But one article uses clear H2 and H3 headings, breaks sections into logical steps, includes short paragraphs, and uses bullet points where needed. The other article is a single block of text with no visual separation. Which one is easier to read? Which one is easier to scan? And more importantly, which one is easier for search engines to interpret? Search engines look for structural signals. Headings indicate topic hierarchy. Lists suggest organized information. Clear formatting reduces ambiguity. When your structure is messy, your message becomes diluted. Even strong content can underperform simply because it is difficult to interpret. So structure is not about making content look good. It is about making meaning obvious. And obvious content ranks better over time. There is also another layer beginners miss. Structure affects how featured snippets and rich results appear. When you use clear question-based headings like "What is SEO?" or "How does keyword research work?", search engines can easily extract direct answers. Now imagine your content answers the same question, but hides the explanation inside a long paragraph without a clear heading. The answer exists, but it is harder to extract. Search engines reward clarity of extraction. If your content can be easily summarized, categorized, and displayed, it gains more opportunities to appear in search results. So structure is not just about readability. It increases visibility potential. When you organize information clearly, you increase the chances of being selected, and selection is what ranking is about. Now let's talk about on-page SEO, which simply means optimizing elements inside your page. This includes your page title, headings, URL structure, meta description, and internal links. These elements help search engines understand the topic quickly. They also influence how your page appears in search results. For example, your title tag is often the first thing users see. If it is unclear or too generic, click-through rates suffer, even if your ranking is decent. So on-page SEO is not just about ranking. It also affects whether people choose your result. Let's compare two page titles. One says Home, the other says Affordable Website Design for Small Businesses in Miami. Which one gives search engines more context? Which one gives users more clarity? The second title communicates topic, audience, and location. The first one communicates nothing. Now look at URLs. A URL like website.com page 1 gives no signal. A URL like website.com SEO guide for beginners reinforces relevance. Even meta descriptions matter. While they do not directly change rankings, they influence whether someone clicks your result, and higher engagement signals can strengthen performance over time. So on-page SEO is about reducing ambiguity. You are not trying to trick the algorithm. You are trying to remove confusion. Clear signals rank better. Another beginner mistake is ignoring internal linking. Internal links are simply links from one page on your website to another. They help search engines discover related content and understand topic relationships. Imagine your website as a map. If pages are isolated with no connections, search engines struggle to understand which topics are important. But when multiple related pages link to one another, it creates clusters of relevance. Now consider two websites. One publishes 20 blog posts, but none of them link to each other. The other connects every related article strategically. Over time, the second website builds stronger topical authority. Internal links guide both users and search engines, and beginners often overlook them completely. Let's make this more realistic. Imagine you publish 30 blog posts over a year. Each one targets a useful keyword, but none of them link to each other. From Google's perspective, these pages look like isolated islands. Now imagine another website with 15 posts. Each article links naturally to related guides, deeper explanations, and supporting content. That creates a network, a structure. Which website appears more authoritative? Search engines interpret internal links as signals of relationship. When multiple articles support one core topic and reference each other, it strengthens topical relevance. Over time, this creates something called topical authority, not because you wrote more content, but because you connected it intelligently. Internal linking is not a technical trick. It is organizational logic. An organization builds trust. Now we need to address something beginners rarely hear clearly. SEO takes time. Not days, not weeks, often months, and this is where many people quit. You publish an article. Nothing happens in 2 weeks, so you assume it failed. But search engines evaluate patterns over time. They observe consistency, engagement, updates, and relevance signals. Imagine planting a tree and checking every morning to see if it grew significantly overnight. Growth is happening, but it is not visible immediately. SEO works the same way. The problem is not always strategy. Sometimes the problem is expectation. When you understand that SEO compounds over time, you stop chasing quick wins and start building foundations. And foundations create sustainable traffic. Let's make this more realistic. Imagine you publish 5 optimized articles this month. You followed keyword research. You matched intent. You structured them properly. But after 3 weeks, traffic is still low. Now, 2 things can happen. You either assume SEO doesn't work and stop publishing, or you continue building, linking, updating, and improving. 6 months later, the difference becomes visible. SEO rewards consistency more than intensity. Posting one perfect article and then disappearing does not build authority. Publishing steadily and improving over time creates signals of reliability. Search engines observe patterns. Are you active? Are you updating content? Are users staying on your pages? Are related articles growing? So when beginners say, SEO isn't working, the real question is, for how long have you been building? SEO is not a campaign. It is an asset-building process, and assets grow with patience. Let's step back and simplify everything into one beginner framework. First, identify real search demand. Don't guess topics. Look at what people are actually searching for. Second, match search intent. Study the pages already ranking and understand what format and depth Google prefers for that query. Third, structure your content clearly. Use headings, logical sections, and organized formatting so both users and search engines can interpret your page easily. Fourth, optimize on-page signals. Clear titles, descriptive URLs, relevant internal links, and focused meta descriptions. Fifth, stay consistent and patient. SEO rewards patterns over time. If you follow this sequence, you eliminate most beginner mistakes. SEO stops feeling random and starts feeling structured. Now let me show you what happens when this sequence is ignored. Many beginners start with content creation. They write randomly, then they try to optimize after publishing, then they look for backlinks, then they change titles repeatedly. That reverse order creates frustration. But when you follow the sequence, demand first, then intent, then structure, then optimization, then consistency, every action supports the next. Instead of fixing mistakes later, you prevent them early. This is the difference between reactive SEO and strategic SEO. Reactive SEO feels confusing and exhausting. Strategic SEO feels slower at first, but far more stable long term. And beginners who understand this sequence early save themselves months of wasted effort. SEO is not complicated, it is structured. There is one more myth that silently holds beginners back. The idea that SEO is about tricks. That there is some hidden formula, some secret tactic, or one technical adjustment that suddenly unlocks traffic. That mindset creates distraction. Because instead of building structured content consistently, beginners keep searching for shortcuts. They change tools. They test random tactics. They compare themselves to competitors daily. But search engines reward stability and clarity, not tricks. When you shift from chasing hacks to building structured relevance, your focus changes. You stop reacting emotionally to short-term traffic fluctuations. You start building long-term visibility, and long-term visibility compounds. SEO is not a hack-driven game. It is a clarity-driven system. Let's imagine two beginners starting SEO at the same time. One keeps jumping between tactics. This week they focus on backlinks. Next week they rewrite titles. Then they try a new tool. Their strategy keeps changing because they expect fast results. The second beginner follows a simple system. They research demand, match intent, structure properly, link internally, and publish consistently. They don't panic when traffic is slow in the first few months. After 6 months, the difference becomes visible. Not because one person discovered a secret, but because one person stayed structured. SEO rewards discipline more than intensity. If you treat it like a long-term asset, it grows. If you treat it like a short-term experiment, it feels inconsistent. That is the mindset shift beginners need. At the beginning of this video, you were probably wondering why your website isn't ranking. Maybe you felt like you were doing everything right, but still invisible in search results. Now you can see the pattern. It wasn't about missing one technical trick. It wasn't about using the wrong plugin. It wasn't about stuffing more keywords. It was about sequence. Demand first, intent second, structure third, optimization fourth, consistency always. When you follow that order, SEO stops feeling confusing and starts feeling predictable. You may not see dramatic results overnight, but you will stop wasting time on the wrong actions. And that alone changes everything. SEO is not complicated, it is disciplined. If this helped you understand SEO clearly for the first time, subscribe to Brand Locally. And more importantly, apply this framework to your next piece of content, because rankings don't reward noise, they reward clarity. So, that's the end of it. Thanks for watching. See you in next video. Bye bye!